Welcome everyone to Young at Heart, session number 181. I'm Father James DeLucio with the Paulist Fathers, ready, willing, and able by the grace of God to offer you nursery rhymes, stories, songs, poems, Mother Goose, Aesop's fables, Lewis Carroll, limericks, larks, and such, and other things to keep us all young at heart. This is a Monday Young at Heart. For several of you wrote that you're anxious to hear the end of The Thanksgiving Visitor by Truman Capote. And also, a dear friend said, make these shorter. And so, I'm going to offer a short little series. They're just a few pages at a time. You can just listen to one. You can follow throughout the day or throughout the week, because I'm going to finish it in short little segments, about 2.5 pages each. We'll finish it before Friday. So here we go. You remember last time in our very long session, they're getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner, Miss Sook and our narrator, the young boy. It's really Truman Capote. It's an autobiographical story, but isn't it beautifully written? And she's insisted that they invite Odd, the terror of his life. But there's lots of other preparations. We left them when she was folding the napkins in bed, and she was staying up so late, but making sure that they all were folded just right. She was quite meticulous in getting this to be a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving for all the relatives and friends and Odd Henderson. So, there we go. I love the way we finished that. There she was, very fatigued, kind of drifting, but still working on those napkins while she's in bed. And he said that she was illuminated by the fatigued rapture of a pilgrim approaching an altar at journey's end. What a marvelous way to give us paint a picture of this quite remarkable, loving, simple, in the most beautiful way of simple woman. Okay, here we go. Just 2.5 pages. Hi, Catherine. From hour to hour, as the shivery tolls of the faraway courthouse clock numbered 10 and 11 and 12, I would wake up and see her lamp still lit, and would drowsily lurch into her room to reprimand her. You ought to be asleep. In a minute, buddy. I can't just now. When I think of all the company coming, it scares me, starts my head whirling, she said, ceasing to stitch and rubbing her eyes. Whirling like stars. Whirling with stars. Chrysanthemums, some big as a baby's head. Bundles of curled, penny-colored leaves with flickering lavender underhues. Chrysanthemums, my friend commented as we moved through our garden, stalking flower show blossoms with decapitating shears, are like lions. Kingly characters. I always expect them to spring, to turn on me with a growl and a roar. It was the kind of remark that caused people to wonder about Miss Sook, though I understood that only in retrospect, for I always knew just what she meant. And in this instance, the whole idea of it, the notion of lugging all those growling, gorgeous, roaring lions into the house and caging them in tacky vases, our final decorative act on Thanksgiving Eve, made us so giggly and giddy and stupid, we were soon out of breath. Look at Queenie, my friend said, stuttering with mirth. Look at her ears, buddy, standing straight up. She's thinking, well, what kind of lunatics are these I'm mixed up with? "Ah, Queenie, come here, honey. I'm going to give you a biscuit dipped in hot coffee." And if you're just joining us for the first time, Queenie's a little dog. A lively day, that Thanksgiving, lively with on and off showers and abrupt sky clearings accompanied by thrusts of raw sun and suddenly bandit winds snatching autumn's leftover leaves. The noises of the house were lovely too, pots and pans, and Uncle B's unused and rusty voice as he stood in the hall in his creaking Sunday suit, greeting our guests as they arrived. A few came by horseback or mule-drawn wagon, the majority in shined-up farm trucks and rackety flivvers. Mr. and Mrs. Conklin and their 4 beautiful daughters drove up in a mint green 1932 Chevrolet. Mr. Conklin was well off. He owned several fishing smackers that operated out of Mobile, an object which aroused warm curiosity among the men present. They studied and poked it, and all but took it apart. The first guests to arrive were Mrs. Mary Taylor Wheelwright, escorted by her custodians, a grandson and his wife. She was a pretty little thing, Mrs. Wheelwright. She wore her age as lightly as the tiny red bonnet that, like the cherry on a vanilla sundae, sat perkily atop her milky hair. "Darlin' Bobby," she said, hugging Uncle B, "I realize we're an itty bit early, but you know me, always punctual to a fault," which was an apology well deserved, for it was not yet 9 o'clock, and guests weren't expected much before noon. However, everybody arrived earlier than we intended, except the Perk McLeod family, who suffered 2 blowouts in the space of 30 miles and arrived in such a stomping temper, particularly Mr. McLeod, that we feared for the china. Most of these people lived year-round in lonesome places, hard to get away from, isolated farms, whistle stops and crossroads, empty river hamlets, or lumber camp communities deep in the pine forests. So, of course, it was eagerness that caused them to be early, primed for an affectionate and memorable gathering. And we'll close there. So this is session 181A, and then there'll be 181B and C and such. Thank you for joining me early in the week, or if you're picking up on this on Friday, stay tuned because more will be presented shortly. God bless. Bye.